Good day, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of pretty much my experimenting and playing with color and shape. So what I'm doing here is I'm just actually using different pigments. There are inks which I was testing to hopefully introduce to another line, but they didn't really work out. Beautiful colors, absolutely gorgeous colors, but they don't like resin. So I wouldn't show you this, but because I ended up creating something out of it in the end, only because I hate being beaten, and you know, I just wanted to do something and save that piece of board that I had there and just play with it and see, you know, and if it didn't work, oh well, what can you do, you know. So I am just applying these colors randomly, you know, no particular order, a blob here and there and a line, a stripe here, you know. There's 12 colors that I was trying out, and some of them were supposed to be really bright, like a bright purple, and turned into like a coral color. So they're still nice colors, but not what they actually were supposed to look like. So at this stage in my piece, I'm thinking, oh my god, this is definitely a mistake. But keep going, because you know that's what you do when you're testing things. You just keep going, keep playing with things, let things merge, and just see how they all turn out in the end. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Like I said, those colors look really pretty. And you can see with that yellow that it's separating from the resin. Oh god. Definitely afterwards when I wiped them, there was a lot of residue left on my alcohol wipe because they didn't mix. They just kind of floated to the top, and they weren't oil paints or oil you know, pigments. They were just supposed to be inks, which yeah, just did not like resin, and I don't want anything like that representing and having as part of Le'Rez line. So you can see those yellow little cell looking things. They actually look pretty cool there. But like I said, I wiped them off afterwards, and they're left like a yellow stain. But they didn't really work out good at all, actually. So just keep going, just pop in that black in. The black actually was pretty good, as well as the white. Nowhere near as good as Midnight Black and Angel White. But, you know, I'm trying to find something positive in these things, and I like to do these kinds of things and show you guys. So when you are testing a new product, unless you are using the product which you know will work, like Le'Rez, it works beautifully with resin, then you can confidently go ahead and use them. But when you're using a product that you haven't heard people use, just be very, very careful. Do a small batch. Don't waste your money, and don't waste your resin. That's for sure. So this is nearing to an end of this part. I'm just pretty much adding bits and pieces and just drying it up, trying to see if the heat gun will do anything. It moves those splotches around, you know, the ones that were kind of laying on top of resin, and pulling them back in. So yeah, it looked like a bit of a mess. Looks pretty cool from up here, but it wasn't, you know, what you would expect from a resin piece to look like. Okay, so continuing with this process, I actually did this video a few weeks ago, but I didn't do anything with it, so that's what I got. The middle of it looked like a bit of a fish, so I just added some Posca pen lines on there and just kind of outlined it a little bit so it looks like a fish. And I did the bubbles as well. So I thought I might do a theme. Now I've got this little piece here. It's resin, and I created it by using one of these lids. You see? It's just a lid for one of those Chinese containers. So like a takeaway container. And I had a bunch of them. So I just used that, and I thought I might create something and make something interesting out of this painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some glue. This is just like a porcelain glue, and multi kind of purpose, does everything. So I'm just going to pop some of that on there. I could use resin, but this is quicker and easier. Just make sure I bung quite a bit of that in there. Okay, and then find where I'm going to put it, and I was thinking just like that, and I'm going to glue that in there. Just going to make it sit, and what I can do is I can grab one of these, which is the same kind of mold, and then what I'll do is I'll put something heavy on there to press it down so that doesn't move. Okay, so my ring around here is nicely glued. I can see some gaps, but that's all right. I'm not going to be touching the middle just yet. I went around and cleaned my surface, and you can see how it picked up pigment. You know, that's when you know that that pigment is not good for you to use. Okay, welcome back. Let me just straighten you up a little bit. Welcome back. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to put this one out of the way for a second. Oh, I lost my little skin. I will show it to you later. What I'm doing here, I just wanted to show you something really exciting that you can do with your pigments. So this is just PVA glue or Elmer's glue going in there, and I'm just going to add some pigments to it. Now you can add as much or as little as you want, all depends on how thick you want your paint to end up. So this pigment is just the Le'Rez Sunflower. All of these are pearlescent, so you're going to get a really beautiful pearl acrylic paint out of it. Look how easily that mixes, but make sure that you do give it a really good stir. So this is pretty thin. If you want it denser than that, you can add more pigment to it and make it thicker. I don't care, I've already done one. This is, oh, what pigment was this one? Let me just think. Oh, yep, this one is pink champagne. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. Now, they may dull down a little bit, although I haven't noticed just yet. But once, you know, it dries up nicely, the pigments will go back to life. So I'm actually, okay, so this is coral. It's gotten a little bit lighter. However, not worried, because PVA glue will dry nice. And let me just pop another one. Now, I wouldn't do that if my stick was covered in resin. I just want to bring it a bit closer to you so you can see the difference in color. Not a huge difference, right? However, still, once these pigments dry and the PVA glue completely dries, the color will be darker. It happens with all pigment acrylic paints anyways. So, you know, this is just for one-time use, really. If I had an airtight container, it would keep for a little while, but because it is glue. But otherwise, if you want to make paints with your powder pigments, that's fine. You just have to get some GAC 800. So this is the royal purple going in. Absolutely love this color. Just look at that. How cool is that? And just gently give it a mix. Now, don't breathe that stuff in. It's terrible. Very bad for you. So the color kind of dulls down a little bit, which is normal. So I'm just giving a really good stir. But because these pigments are super fine, they mix really, really well. Okay, so just gonna give them all another little mix. I'm missing one. Okay, the warm magenta. Okay, so I'll do that and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got my pigments and I've put them on my little palette tray here, which is just a lid for a takeaway container. I've got a lot of them, and this is the skin I wanted to tell you about. How cool is this? Looks like a little whale, and this was just the skin. You can see here, that's where the cup was. Can't find the exact sort of cup that okay, I tried to find a cup, but anyway, this is where the cup was sitting, sort of, and the drips were falling off the cup and creating this little whale looking thing. So it's going to find a spot somewhere, but until then, I just wanted to paint some coral down here. Just a brush, any old brush will do. A rounded one probably would be better. So what I'm going to do is, going to have some fun. Just going to load my brush on one end and a little bit up the top. Might just go with this yellow. Maybe if I go anyway. They're merging. And then I'm just going to test these out. See what happens. So, because I don't like that area there, I'm just going to paint some coral there, and look at that. How cool is that? Really, really awesome. Not really getting enough of that brush because that purple. There we go. Just going around. I will go over it again. Now I'm going to just do a different color now, just to be different. Up here, painting coral. Okay, this is the fun part where I am actually loading my brush with some of this pigment and just pretty much just dabbing it onto the surface, which is resin, or clear or dried up resin, I should say, or cured resin. So easy stuff. Just dabbing. It's quite transparent at this stage, and later on I do apply some more over the top of it because obviously I needed it to be brighter. And I do apologize about that outburst. My neighbours are watching footy, I think, a game. Something's going on that sort of sparked a bit of exciting reaction all of a sudden. So it's always fun. So yeah, just finding areas where I feel that I don't like the way that pigment came through. So I'm just dabbing some of this pigment that I absolutely love, and cleaning a few areas where I feel that I can probably put a fish there. That particular area looked like a shadow of a fish, and I'll add a fish in there a little bit later. I'll just draw it with a Posca pen and then colour it in with some of these pigments. So just adding some more of that purple because I feel that it doesn't have enough there, and yeah, it's just a simple, easy peasy stuff. Okay, so you can see here that I'm drawing, or rather painting, a little fish just with those mixed up pigments with the PVA glue, and it's quite transparent at this stage, but like I said, I do add more layers to it to add more depth and texture as well, because you do get texture the more you add to it. And going around with the Posca pen now and just fixing up those circles, like bubble like things, just to, you know, to kill time really, because while I'm waiting for that paint to dry, I'm doing something else, and I did use a heat gun, which helps a lot. First, because I've got all this paint left over and I want to use it up, so here we go. A little bit of that. Oh, see, that one's starting to thicken up a little bit. Go with a bit of this gorgeous, gorgeous champagne, pink champagne. And a little bit of royal purple. Bit of yellow. I won't go with the yellow just there, because yellow will turn that into brown. However, I can go yellow in here. If I can get any out, it'd be great. That looks pretty cool. Just like that. See how that pigment is creating cells already, because the different densities of the paint. I'm just going to give it a tiny little stir. Just go across that way. That'll do it. I can always wipe it off. That's why I'm not worried. But I don't like that area there, so I might just pour it right in there. See what happens. Pretty little pattern there. Let's give it a little tilt. Let it run down a little bit. Oops, sorry, can't see that. Bit of that yellow's coming through. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more yellow on top just here. And drag it down. Possible, try not to touch that paint. And then go down. Looks quite pretty, actually. Okay, now that I've got that, I might just pull this down a little bit, just a tiny bit. Make it a sharper edge there. Actually, there's none of this magenta in there, so I'm going to pop some right in the middle. Could even be a tiny, like some sort of a underwater creature, actually. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just dabbing the whole paw with my fingers and merging those colors together because I didn't like the way it looked, and then just try to fix the edges a little bit and try to add a little bit more of that mix on top of it just to fix it up a bit. Okay, so this is where I go really quiet in the actual during the video, because I needed to stop thinking what the viewers might think and what the camera's doing. I just needed to be there in my own space doing my own thing and letting go of all the thoughts and all the judgments and everything, and just going with it and creating something interesting. So on my mind there's this thought that I could ruin it, but then I'm thinking, well, I can always wipe it off, before I put resin over it and seals it all in. So not really worried, just using a pointy tool just to create a little bit of some interest in there, pulling those lines through that paint. And you have to imagine that the paint is sitting on resin, so it's not a real smooth kind of surface right there. It is quite bumpy because that pigment created all those bumps, and then I had to wipe and really give it a good rub with alcohol to get rid of that residue that was sitting on top. So the surface is not completely smooth. So and working with these pigments which are unfamiliar, I know how these pigments work in resin, but not really how they work and how quickly they dry with PVA glue. And yes, they dry quite fast actually, so they leave this kind of a shiny look at the end of it when it does dry. So these are all the things that you have to consider when you're doing something new. At this stage, I'm thinking, I might turn this into some sort of a octopus or some sort of a creature, imaginary creature with tentacles and things like that, just to make it more interesting and create a story in there. Because as you can see, that fish is stuck in that little tank on its own, surrounded by this beautiful scenery outside of the tank, you see. So it's thinking what a wonderful world it is out there, but then it's also seeing this creature with these horrible long tentacles and thinking, oh, I am safe in here. So it's really a bit of a catch-22, because it is safe, but it wants to be out there in the wild, enjoying that coral, enjoying all those beautiful colors in the deep sea. But there's also a lot of dangers out there. So that's a story that I'm creating with this painting, just while creating it. I didn't imagine this to be like this. I didn't plan it, and it's great if you can do that. But I do my best work, and I'm not saying that this is my best work, but my best work was created by just letting my intuition take charge and just letting go and just being in the moment. And then I can see the story and I get the story and I become involved in the story. And once you get involved and your emotions kind of merge in with the painting, you can create some amazing stuff. And you know what, one artist that I really admire and love is Kathy Lane. She creates some really beautiful artwork, and her imagination is just unbelievable. So if you get a chance, go and have a look at her creations, you know, on her YouTube channel, because if you like this kind of stuff, you want to see something much better, go and see Kathy Lane. She is just amazing. So this is a little bit of play time for me, which I was very pleased that I have the time to do it, you know, and experiment and learn things, because that's how you learn. And I'm a self-taught artist. I've been painting for, oh my gosh, over, how old am I? Over 25 years, and probably longer than that, but professionally for about 20 years. And you know, just painting with acrylics and oils, but resin, this kind of pouring and experimenting with these with the fluid art is still an experiment for me, and I absolutely love it. So I totally immerse myself into it whenever I can. It's not just about pouring colors together. It's great for doing backgrounds, I think, or doing clocks and stuff like that, but if you can add something to it, then it makes it really amazing and really valuable, because the more time that you spend on your artwork, the more valuable it becomes. So think of that next time you do a 5-minute or a 10-minute acrylic pour or a resin pour. Think about what else can you add to it to add more value to it. I think it's important, because you can really be proud of what you do, and earn a couple of dollars as well, extra. You know, it's all worth it. So I'm here just painting a little fish, just doing a little kind of a pour, really, with my stirring stick, and shaping it into a bit of a fish, just because I have some of that pigment mix left over and I wanted to use it up. And that'll be it for this part of the painting. So stay tuned so that you can see some shots as well as the next stage.